So you're thinking about moving to Post Falls, Idaho, and you've got lots of questions about the area. Well, you are in the right spot, because in this video, we're gonna cover all things Post Falls. Call it pros and cons, call it just information about Post Falls, call it what you will. You're in the right spot if that's what you're looking for. Stick around to the very end. We're gonna cover things such as housing, community, education, crime, jobs, transportation, things to do, and the weather. So if that's the video you're looking for, you're in the right spot. Stick around to the very end. Got lots of great information for you. Let's go check it out right now. If this is your first time to the channel, be sure to subscribe, tap that notifications bell so you can be the first to learn about the current market conditions here in North Idaho. My name is Seth. I'm a retired police officer. I work hand in hand with my lovely and talented wife, Kristen, and together we get calls, texts, and emails all the time from people just like you trying to get more information about this area. So whether you're looking to move in 6 days or 6 months, give us a call, text, or email. We would love to help you make that smooth move right here to North Idaho. All right, let's jump right in with one of the biggest questions that people have, and that is housing. So Post Falls is growing and building homes in all price ranges, with home buyers coming from many different locations in the country. I want to give you some stats on homes sold and then homes that are actively being for sale right now as well. So homes sold in the last 6 months, the cheapest one, or the lowest priced one, excuse me, was $275,000. That was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,128 square feet. The highest priced home sold in the last 6 months, $4.5 million. That was Spokane Riverfront, 5,300 square feet with a dock, a shop, the whole deal. Beautiful home. The lowest active price right now on the MLS, and this is August of 2023, so obviously things change over time, but currently on the MLS, $339,000. That's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, just under 900 square feet, but it is on a large lot, 0.36 acres. The highest active price currently is $6,195,000. That's for a 6,000 square foot on a half-acre riverfront with a boat dock. Beautiful home as well. So median sale price, we're at $454,000 right now. That is $277 a square foot, and that's on previously owned, not new construction. So also wanted to touch on taxes. Taxes, they range from 0.6% to 1%, and that's the levy rate. What they do is they have the levy rate set for the particular area that you live in. They multiply that times the value of the home, and that's how you get your taxes. The levy rate map is extremely confusing. If you look at it, none of it seems to make sense. I don't know how they calculate it, but there is an interactive map that you can get on the county assessor's site that shows you the levy rates for each particular area. Some areas, like downtown Coeur d'Alene, are actually more expensive than some waterfront areas. So that's contrary to popular belief. Some people would say that waterfront is always more expensive, but it's not always the case. So levy rates are important to know, and if you have specific questions about that, reach out. I can help you with that. All right, this next section is for the investors out there. We're going to talk about some short-term rental stuff. Before I get started, check out where I'm at. This is a beautiful location in Post Falls. I'm in Falls Park, and we're just below the dam in Post Falls. The dam is what controls one of the things that controls the height of Lake Coeur d'Alene. So that water is controlled through the dam and flows out through the Spokane River here and then down into Washington. So that's where I'm at right now. It's a great spot to check out. So back to the information for investors. So we have 140 active short-term rentals currently in Post Falls. The average daily rate is $225 and occupancy rate is 64%. So short-term rentals do really well here. It's a good location, even though it's not Coeur d'Alene. There's still a lot to do, and it's very close proximity to Coeur d'Alene and everything else North Idaho has to offer. The average monthly short-term rental income, according to AirDNA, is $2,833. Highest monthly rent is $3,850, lowest being $700, and the median is $1,950. So $1,950 is the median or average monthly rent for homes here in Post Falls, and 29% of the population does rent here. So it's a good option if you're looking to move to the area and aren't ready to jump on a house. snatch up a rental. Sometimes you can find month-to-month rentals, and that takes the pressure off while you're looking to buy that home here in North Idaho. So Post Falls is a good place to look for that. If you're worried about the market crashing, don't be. 98.9% of homes here in Post Falls are still selling, homes in Post Falls are still selling for 98.9% of list price. That's what I was trying to say. So don't be worried about the market crashing. Homes are still selling. The key is to have a skilled negotiator at your side, someone who understands the market. And if you need help with that, we can be your go-to resource. We'd love to help you with that because we are full-time active agents here in the region. Obviously, we make lots of videos. You see us. We are out in the community as much as possible, handling contracts, doing negotiations, learning the trade, perfecting our craft. So give us a holler. Next section we're going to talk about is community. So Post Falls has a wonderful community. Niche.com gives it a B rating overall, and it is the #3 suburb to live in Kootenai County. So Kootenai County is the county that encompasses Coeur d'Alene, Hayden, Post Falls, Rathdrum, that whole area right there, and some others. But so it's the #3 community in that area in Kootenai County. That's an excellent indicator that it is a good place to live and raise a family. The population is 44,194 and growing strong. There are lots of development in particularly the north side of Post Falls, which gives good housing options. So that's why it's a wonderful place for families. Homes tend to be more affordable. So you can come here, you have all of the amenities. It's a beautiful place to live. It's safe. We'll talk about crime in a minute. So once again, community here is wonderful. Lots of activities for the kids to get involved in, lots of churches, sports, all of that is here and available. That's what makes Post Falls such a wonderful place to live. Another giant question we get from people all the time is schools. What's the education system like here? So according to niche.com, it's a B rating, which is actually pretty good. Most places tend to be a B rating. And it is, let's see, there's 12 public schools, 5 private schools here in Post Falls. They're all great schools, so nothing to worry about there as far as where your kids are going to end up. Homeschool is also really big here in North Idaho, as you may have heard, and maybe that's why you want to move here, because the regulations on homeschool are very lax, which is good. You can choose your child's path. Another giant benefit, homeschool kids here can participate in public school sports. So if that is a big concern for you, you are able to do that here, which is a fantastic thing. Also have several college options nearby. We've got colleges in Coeur d'Alene, and then if you jump over the border into Washington and Spokane, some bigger schools over there as well. So you can keep the kids close while they're getting their college education. That's a big plus for sure. Let's talk about crime. As a retired police officer, this is very near and dear to my heart, and it is one of the reasons that I chose to move my own family here to North Idaho. Crime is really low. Niche.com gives Post Falls a B- rating. Assault and violent crime way below the national average. Property crime is a fraction of the national average, so it is down. Now, if you grew up here and it was a really small town back in the day, you might say crime's gone way up. But if you're coming here from another area, you will be shocked. One example is the lack of homeless people here. And I do have a kind heart towards people that are displaced. I understand that. However, I don't want to worry about going to a public park with my family and have to be assaulted, yelled at, any of those things that go along with it. So as you can see, I'm in a public park right now. There are none. There are families walking around having a good time. It is an extremely safe place to live here in Post Falls. That's one thing I love about it. Another thing, the police have a great presence here. They are loved by the community, which some areas you might be coming from is the opposite, and that's not okay with me. So if you were a police officer looking to retire or move somewhere else and work somewhere else, you'd be welcome in this community for sure, and you can actually tell people what you do for a living without feeling like you're going to get persecuted. And if you're a retired police officer, you can move here and once again tell people what you did for a living and be proud. They will honor your service, not yell at you. So that is a wonderful thing here that attracts me to all of North Idaho. It's all the same up here. The way that our first responders, veterans are honored here instead of persecuted. So if you're looking for that safe place where you can come and live and be happy with your family, this might be it. Let's talk about jobs for a moment. So the average household income here in Post Falls is $65,592 a year. There are many retired folks that come here and no longer have to work as well. Unemployment rate is at 4.8%, so not particularly high. There are jobs here. There are also many people that live here in the Idaho side and work over in Spokane, and wages tend to be a little bit higher on that side of things. There are some tax issues to consider as well if you were to do that. But if you have questions about that specifically, reach out. I can answer that for you. So lumber, healthcare, tourism, and manufacturing are some of the primary job sources here. There are some big manufacturing plants in town. We've got Buck Knives. Yes, Buck Knives is here in town. You can do a factory tour as well. It's pretty cool. We've got Ground Force, Tedder Industries, and Tedder Industries make Alien Gear holsters, if you've heard of them. So if you're in the gun world, you might have heard of that company. They are right here in Post Falls. So those are some of the bigger manufacturing. There's lots of tech jobs here. There's lots of entrepreneurialism. Did I say that right? Yeah, I said that right. It is very big here in North Idaho. That's something I did not realize when I moved here. There are a lot of entrepreneurs. That energy is very high. It's a good positive energy to come here and work. Lots of people work from home as well. Some of these tech jobs, they work from home, so they relocate to a place like this and their company is elsewhere in the country, and they get to live here and enjoy the benefits of North Idaho while working remotely. So good job opportunities here as well. And like I said, job opportunities across the border in Washington if needed, and plenty of jobs if you're a police officer looking to laterally transfer somewhere else. They are always hiring up here as well. A couple of considerations when it comes to transportation. I did say I was going to talk about that. So the average commute time here from Post Falls is 20 minutes to work, and that is because a lot of people do work over the border. People work in Coeur d'Alene, people work in other areas and end up commuting there. So that's the average. There's not a great mass transit system here. Only 0.6% of the people use mass transit, and that's buses. The infrastructure is not there yet. I don't think it's been needed yet. So if you rely on that, it is available, but it's not your best option. Having a car is pretty important right here. Road construction is everywhere right now, especially in the summer. So in the winter time, the roads get beat up from salt, plowing, things like that. It does beat the roads up. Summertime, there is always construction going on, and currently there's a big push to improve the infrastructure, the roadways, to handle the growing population. So you will find lots of road closures and slowdowns out there. Hopefully it makes things better in the long run, and then we just have the normal maintenance type issues. But that is one thing to consider. You will be slowed down. Now, if you're coming from certain states that I won't name, and you really understand what traffic can be like, you won't be bugged at all, because it's nothing like that. So it does depend where you're coming from or where you currently live as far as traffic and what that kind of looks like to you. There is considerations with inclement weather and how to drive in those situations. I will touch on weather next, actually. So let's go jump into that section. One of the biggest questions that we get is weather. Does it snow a lot? Can I drive? Like, a lot of people are scared of that, and it's nothing to be afraid of. The average snowfall here is 40 inches a year. In some areas, including like Tahoe, California, that's a night's amount of snowfall. So on average, 40 inches a year is not that bad. We get 22 inches of rain on average. The average low temperature is 24 degrees, which once again it might sound scary to you, but it's really not that bad. They make these things called gloves and hats and warm down jackets. It makes it completely tolerable. So hot days, we'll get a lot of, they usually average in the 80s. We've had summers where there's many days over 100 degrees. Was it like 14 days over 100 last year? There was quite a few. She's shaking her head at me. She doesn't know. You need the answers. So the hot days do happen. You will want air conditioning in your house for sure. But on average, it's in the 80s and 90s in the summer. It's absolutely gorgeous. We have 174 sunny days on average. That number might sound scary, but hold on, switch arms. My arm's getting tired. However, 174 sunny days does not mean every other single day is going to be cloudy and miserable. There are plenty of cloudy days where the sun peeks through enough where you won't lose your mind. So it's not, overall it's rather bright here and sunny. It's not that bad. Wintertime can get a little long because the days are a lot shorter, and this is something people don't realize. In the wintertime, It doesn't get light until late after 7 in the morning in the real dark times of winter, and it gets dark around 4 p.m. So the daytime is very short. It's the opposite in the summer. The days are very long. You soak up as much sunshine as you can get, and you really enjoy the summertime days. Fall and spring are completely gorgeous and totally separate seasons, which is something that a lot of people come here for and really enjoy that as well. So overall, the weather is really good. Driving in the wintertime, if you've never done it, I grew up on the East Coast, so I was very familiar with it coming here. But if you've never done it, just drive slower and get good snow tires. That solves all the problems right there. Don't try to drive normal speed. It's all manageable. I'm sure there are YouTube videos on how to drive in winter weather that you could find and learn how to do it, but that's nothing that should hold you back. So that's it for weather. Let's go talk about some things to do here in Post Falls. Some things to do in Post Falls, and there are many things to do. I'm only going to touch on a few. Obviously, outdoor activities are abundant. Idaho is known for the amount of public land that it has. There's so much to do outdoors, so that's obvious. I'm going to touch on some other things just so you have kind of an idea of how well-rounded the area is. There are lots of recreational sports for adults and kids. That's all there. Bowling alleys, golf, all that stuff. There's an indoor shooting range in Post Falls called Center Target Sports. So if you're into shooting, that's an option, and the beauty of that is you can shoot there in the wintertime when it's raining and the weather's bad. There are other shooting ranges nearby. I'm just mentioning that one particularly in Post Falls. We also have State Line Speedway, and that is a racetrack where they have tons of events throughout the year. We were just at a Josh Turner concert a few weeks back that was there. They have great racing events, huge grandstands. It's cool. One of our favorite things was the Festival of Lights this year. I think that was in the fall. And that's where you have the lighted lanterns. Everyone lets them go at the same time, and there's thousands of beautiful lanterns in the sky. So tons to do there. We also have Quemlin Park, which we were at this morning when we started this film, and that has tons of rock climbing. I think there's 140 rock climbing routes, mountain biking, hiking, lots of trails, swimming. There's a big public beach there. It's a beautiful location and a total asset to Post Falls to have that as well. Then we have water sports. So above the dam in the river, which then connects to Lake Coeur d'Alene, you have all of the boating activities, water surfing, water skiing, tubing, all of that stuff, and endless amounts of water to do that on. Below the dam in Post Falls, the water moves a little bit faster. You've got kayaking, swimming, and fly fishing are some of the big activities to do in that portion below the dam. So that's just a few things in Post Falls to keep you occupied. Like I said, there are many out there, so don't feel like that will be a concern for you. There are so many good options in the area for things to do in Post Falls. Thank you for sticking around for this video about all things Post Falls. It's a wonderful community. I'm sure you'd love it here. Hopefully we answered some of the questions you had. We covered a lot of topics: crime, transportation, housing, weather, things like that. All the big questions that people kind of have when they're looking at a new area to live in. So hopefully we answered that for you. If we did not, give me a call, text, or email. I'd love to answer those questions directly. And remember, whether you're looking to move in 6 days or 6 months, call, text, email, get in touch with us. We would love to help you make that smooth move right here to North Idaho.